Hey everybody, this is Kennedy Hawk. We're back with our second deck tech for the month of March in 2022. So this week I am talking all about War Machine Protection. It's a deck that's relatively untapped. If you go to the DB, you can search by decks and the aspect they go with and see how many decks there are with likes out there. And there's only a deck with like 4 likes for War Machine Protection. So I'm not telling you that I made the best deck. Maybe there's a reason there aren't a lot of decks in that type, but I have made a deck that I think is pretty fun, especially in multiplayer, but I think it can hand its own in solo as well. So this is going to be on the audio feed as well. It's going to be on the audio feed a little bit delayed from the YouTube feed because we try to keep spoilers for upcoming campaign expansions off that feed. But at the end of this, I'm going to be playing a game against Sandman from the Sinister Motives expansion. He's been kind of revealed through the FFG article, so I'm not too worried about it. And I got my box in from Canada early, so I have played this matchup a couple times. So I know it should work pretty well, but I'm going to be playing it on the simulator, and you can see just how it works out. So without any further ado, let's get into our deck tech for the second deck tech in March. All right, so the goal of this deck is to focus really on upgraded chassis. That's a 3-cost War Machine tech upgrade with the armor trait. War Machine gains the aerial trait. Hero response. After you change to hero form, exhaust upgraded chassis to give War Machine a tough status card. So that's basically a built-in perseverance every time you flip. So if you can flip once or twice, I guess, you've paid for 2 perseverances without having to have them in hand, which is pretty dang good. It gives us a constant stream of tough, so we can deal with villain attacks without taking too much damage, and it gives us access to the aerial trait. So the aerial trait, Ever Vigilant, is one of the best aerial cards that came out with Star-Lord. Aerial skill, play only if your identity has the aerial trait. For 2 cost, you can ready your hero and remove 2 threat for the main scheme. So we're going to try to get upgraded chassis down and just go wild with War Machine events. Let's dig through his kit. So I really wanted to talk about Upgrade Chassis again. It is his most expensive, or one of his most expensive cards, and it's a one of, so we really need to figure out how we're going to get that onto the board quickly. And then let's look at War Machine's hero and identity card really quick. So his hero card is a 1/2/2. So like when I was talking about Ever Vigilant, you're going to get a free ready, so you're going to be able to use your defense and ready, although since you're tough, you're probably going to use your attack and then use it a second time. So it's basically a 2-cost protection event that does 2 damage, and 2 threat removal, which are the 2 things protection isn't so good at, which is pretty dang good. Alright, locked and loaded. After you change to this form, place 5 ammo counters on War Machine. And then James Rones has 3 recover. Action, choose a War Machine card in your discard pile and shuffle it into your deck. After you change to this form, discard each ammo counter from your identity. So since we are going to be flipping, we're going to want to make sure we can use all of those ammo counters really, really quick, which means we're going to have to find ways to get the right events into our hands to do so. So, we've got a couple cards that I really want to focus on that I think are the key cards for this deck. So we have Munitions Bunker, exhaust Munitions Bunker to place 2 ammo counters here. Exhaust or hero action, exhaust Munitions Bunker to move 2 ammo counters from here to War Machine. So you can, since you're flipping every turn, really stack some counters up on Munitions Bunker and use them to end your game. We've also got Gauntlet Gun, which is a resource generator. It generates a wild resource for a War Machine event and places 1 counter on War Machine. So I think this is really important for getting those ammo counters out there, but at the same time, since you're flipping every other turn, like every time you start your turn or do the flip, you're going to gain 5 ammo counters and try to spend them as fast as you can. Gauntlet Gun is going to kind of make up on the next turn. When you're getting ready to flip down to Alter Ego, you still want to spend some events from your hand, and Gauntlet Gun is going to generate the ammo counters for those events. Because we're flipping so much, and because our cost curve, we want to keep it relatively low, I really focus on using Targeted Strike and Repulsor Blast. So those are 1-cost events that remove 1 ammo counter in each. One of them removes 3 threat from a scheme. 1 deals 4 to an enemy. That's really like my ammo counter sink, along with the other ammo cards, but really I try to make sure I can get my Targeted Strikes off every time they come up. I'm flipping. I really need that threat control, so I focus on these cheaper ammo cards and then maybe 1 big ammo card each flip. Alright, so the big ammo cards, we have Scorched Earth and Full Auto. Scorched Earth is remove 3 ammo counters from War Machine and pay 3 resources, deal 3 damage to each enemy in play. Very situational. I want there to be multiple enemies in play to make this worthwhile. More likely, I use Full Auto, which is remove 4 ammo counters from War Machine and choose an enemy, deal 8 damage to that enemy. This attack gains Overkill. So if you think about when you flip up, you get 5 ammo counters. You're going to want to use either Targeted Strike or Repulsor Blast, or whatever it was called, I can't remember. Repulsor Beam. So that uses 1 of your ammo counters. Full Auto is going to try to use the other 4. On that next turn, you use Gauntlet Guns to play whatever 1 cost or 1 ammo cost events you can before you flip back down. We've also got Missile Launcher and Shoulder Cannon. These are really fun tech upgrades, but I don't really focus on them. So Missile Launcher is hero action, exhaust Missile Launcher, and remove 1 ammo counter from War Machine, deal 2 damage to an enemy. This tech gains ranged. So you've got to remove an ammo counter there to deal 2. Not quite as good as Repulsor Beam, but still a good sink if you need it. And then Shoulder Cannon, I mean, there's nothing wrong with Shoulder Cannon. You play it, you exhaust it every round to deal 2 to an enemy or clear stunned. I don't play the game of building up a bunch of ammo counters with this deck and then trying to go wild, although you could, since this protection deck has lots of thwarting capabilities. Side schemes are going to be our trouble, and we'll see if we can deal with those using Targeted Strike. So what are we going to do in the early game? We are going to burn through our deck looking for upgraded chassis. There's a few cards that enable this. We have Assess the Situation in our deck as a 3 of. That's going to let us really burn through our deck quickly. When you put that into a 40 card deck, it really helps you pour through and look for the combo pieces you have. So if you have a 1 of card you need, always recommend Assess the Situation. We have Iron Man, our signature ally. After Iron Man enters play, search your deck and discard pile for a tech upgrade and add it to your hand. So this is a little bit trickier. To play this and upgraded chassis in the same turn, you need 8 resources total, or 8 cards, which can be a little bit rough. But you can get it into your hand, hold it for 1 turn, and then play it, knowing that it's going to be like the key piece of your deck. I don't mind holding 1 card if it's like a key combo piece. We've got Nick Fury, obviously. After Nick Fury enters play, draw 3 cards. You're going to want to spam him every time you see him as you're looking for your events and your upgrades that you need in play. And then I have multiple mana in this deck as well. Until I get that upgraded chassis out, I don't want to take a ton of damage with my tough counters, so I want to use multiple man to block a couple times, but he also thins your deck really well. So an ideal opening turn, if you don't draw into upgraded chassis, is to play multiple man, thin your deck, burn with Assess the Situation. So maybe you play multiple man and Assess the Situation. You've now like shrunk your deck drastically, especially if you've mulliganed deep. I've had games where I get through almost 20 cards in my opening hand because of multiple man and Assess. I'll go through that one more time. So you draw your 6 cards. Let's say you don't draw into upgraded chassis. You don't draw into multiple man either. So you ditch all 6 cards. You draw into 1 copy of multiple man. Now you've gone through 12 cards in your deck. You play multiple man using 4 of your cards. So now you have multiple man in play. You've siphoned 2 more out of your deck. So you've gone through 14 cards in your deck. Play Assess the Situation and jump to hero form. You're going to draw 6 more cards, and you've gone through 20 cards in your deck in that opening round. That can be really helpful for finding those combo pieces. So multiple man is a way to like artificially thin your deck without keeping it there permanently. All right, so allies we have a lot of cheap blocking allies. I would say Ironheart, Clea, and multiple man. They're our main cheap blockers. You could go with Cosmo and Blade. You've got a lot of events, so Cosmo is going to proc relatively reasonably. Blade is obviously really cheap. Here I like Ironheart and Clea because Ironheart still helps you siphon and look for the right things. Clea can keep coming back and blocking for you over and over again until you find the card you need. And multiple man, obviously, we just talked about how good he can be for this sort of deck setup. We've got allies which are event fishers. These are allies that are going to help you draw things when you're trying to draw into your events later in the game. So we're looking at Nick Fury, we're looking at Ironheart, and we're mainly looking at Brother Voodoo. All 3 of these can draw into an Ever Vigilant, which can completely revolutionize or change your game as War Machine. So really, really, really good cards. So overall, we've got 10 allies. We've got Nick Fury, Ironheart, Iron Fist, Clea, Brother Voodoo, Iron Man, a lot of iron, and 3 copies of multiple man. I guess 3 multiple men, however you see that. We really want to focus on War Machine events. Primarily, we want to deplete our ammo counters every time we flip up. So we're really going to be looking for ways to play those not aerial events, but War Machine events constantly. So every time you flip, like I said, you're going to get that 5 ammo, and you know you're going to want to flip down next turn to take advantage of upgraded chassis. So you really need to thin your deck and keep running these deck accelerators like Assess the Situation and Nick Fury, even after you've found your combo pieces, because you want to constantly have events in hand so that you can deplete those ammo counters and not waste anything. Obviously, we talked about Ever Vigilant as well. We've also included 1 copy of 2 Against the World. This can also help find that upgraded chassis. If you draw into Iron Man early, the Team Up event, 3 cost, is if you have Iron Man and War Machine in play, hero action, search your deck for a tech upgrade and put it into play. Shuffle your deck and then ready both characters. So that's pretty good for getting your upgraded chassis in play. Obviously, it's very expensive. You're not going to be able to get that all done in your first turn without double resources, but can be pretty good early on. And then we've got the rest of our deck. We put 3 copies of the basic resources in. I have some copies of Meditation in here because I think that since you're flipping so often, being able to meditate in a multiple man or a Nick Fury can be really powerful early in the game or later in the game. I think both are great choices. And then we've got 2 copies of Power of Protection, because there are actually 12 targets for Power of Protection in our deck, between all of our allies, between all of our Ever-Vigilance, and then we include 3 copies of Energy Barrier, just to keep things from pinging off your Tough when you don't want it removed. So that's the deck. We are going to hop right into it here and play a game against Sandman. So if you have not played against Sinister Motives yet, you probably want to tune out now so you don't get this spoiled for you. But here we are, all set up as War Machine against Sandman, and we're going to get things underway. And I will try to narrate this game as we go along. I'm just going to remove my top and tools menus so there's a little more space to see. I'm using Hitch's Mod, I know. Not everybody's a big fan of it, but it has all the new cards in here that I need since I'm not setting up my camera today during kidnap time. So, here we are going against Sandman with our War Machine Tough deck. So let's read some stuff about Sandman, because not everybody has played against him before. So we're going to play in Standard Mode. Sandman is a 1-scheme, 2-attack villain with the ability Sandblast. Forced Interrupt. When Sandman attacks you, that attack deals indirect damage. If your identity takes any amount of damage from this attack, resolve the Surging Sands ability on City Streets. So City Streets is an environment card with the Surging Sands ability. Special, place 1 sand counter here. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck equal to the number of sand counters here. Exhaust a character you control to remove sand counters equal to their printed attack. So hopefully with Tough, we can avoid taking that damage, even though it's indirect damage, you just soak it all into a Tough counter. Alright, the main scheme is Hapless Pedestrians. Search the encounter deck for City Streets, put 4 sand counters onto it, and on 1B, it can pop at 9 threat per player. We are eliminated. It starts with 2 threat, and after an acceleration token is placed here, deal 3 indirect damage to the first player. So we got to be careful about cycling this villain deck. So we are all set up and ready to go. We're going to draw our opening hand here as War Machine. And we've got some pretty good cards right away. We do have a multiple man right away, and we have, we honestly have a lot of really good cards. We're not going to go with the deck thinning multiple man route. So in our hand, we had a Energy Barrier, a multiple man, Assess the Situation, Genius, Gauntlet Gun, and Munitions Bunker. I'm going to ditch the 2 protection cards and Assess the Situation, because I don't mind playing Gauntlet Gun and Munitions Bunker in my opening hand. That really does help us set up, and we drew into Upgraded Chassis. So that's awesome. We're really happy with that. We're going to have to, unfortunately, sacrifice some cards we probably don't want to, but I'm going to play Upgraded Chassis, and then I can either play Gauntlet Gun or Munitions Bunker, and I think I'm going to go ahead and play Gauntlet Gun. And then on James Rhodes' side, after you change to this form, blah, 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 choose a War Machine card in your discard pile and shuffle it back into your deck. We're going to shuffle that Munitions Bunker right back into our deck, because we are going to be flipping a lot since we got our Chassis turn 1. We can now flip to Hero form, and that's going to give us a Tough status card with Upgraded Chassis. I don't have any way, I don't need to generate resources with Gauntlet Gun, so I can't use that yet. But I can punch for 2 into Sandman. And ready everything up, drawing 5 cards. So right away, we got the card we needed. That was awesome. We drew into 2 targeted strikes and Assess the Situation, a full auto, and a downtime. So 1 threat is going on the main scheme. He is going to attack us for 2 plus something. It ends up being 4. It goes right into this Tough counter. All right. What is going to happen next? We get an encounter card, which is a Common Criminal with Surge. Alter Ego action, spend a physical resource, deal 3 damage to Common Criminal. If this minion is defeated this way, choose to draw 1 card or remove 3 threat from a side scheme. That's pretty cool. I like that. Not bad at all. It does surge, though, into a Dirt Trap, which is a Crisis side scheme. When defeated, resolve the Surging Sands ability on City Streets. Resolve it again. Wow, so double Surging Sands with only 1 threat on it. What a bummer. Okay, well, I like the idea of drawing a card, and I think I'll use full auto to do that. I guess I technically have 5 counters that I forgot about. So we'll go ahead and use Targeted Strike and Assess the Situation. To play full auto, that is going to let us punch for 8 damage to Sandman's face, bringing him down from 14 to 16. Alright, I will use Gauntlet Gun to play a Targeted Strike, removing 3 threat from a scheme. I think what I'll do first, actually, is I will thwart this Crisis side scheme, Dirt Trap. It's going to resolve the Surging Sands ability twice. So we're going to place a sand counter here. It's going to go to 5. We're going to mill 5 cards off the encounter deck. Ouch. Then it's going to do it again. So we're going to remove another 6 counters. And we are going to have to start taking care of that sand, I think. All right. So now we will use Gauntlet Gun. We've got more than enough ammo counters to play Targeted Strike, bringing the main scheme down to 0. We're going to flip down and use downtime to defeat this common criminal. That'll let us draw a card. And it's an endurance, which we'll hold on to for next turn. Actually, we'll toss it. We're at full health. We don't need that. And we'll draw 6 cards. So we're now back down to 0 ammo counters. We will worry about that in the future. And 1 threat is going to the main scheme. Sandman is going to scheme for 1 plus 0, so that's pretty good. And our encounter card is a Sand Clone. His attack is equal to the number of sand counters on city streets. When defeated, resolve the Surging Sands ability. So we've got to get rid of that Surging Sands ability. It is pretty obnoxious right now. We are going to flip up and gain a tough card. We have got, let's see, we've got Ever Vigilant, Shoulder Cannon, which does not hurt at all. Brother Voodoo, Scorched Earth. Let's go ahead and play Scorched Earth right away. So we're up to 6 ammo counters because we're going to use our Gauntlet Gun, but then we're going to pay with another Scorched Earth and with a multiple man. And then we have to remove 3 ammo counters. I always pick up my hero when I'm trying to do that in Tabletop Simulator. How annoying. But either way, I am Scorched Earthing to deal 3 damage to each enemy in play. That is going to hit Sandman for 3 and wipe this Sand Clone off the board. Unfortunately, that is going to resolve that Swirling Sands ability. So 7 cards are coming off the top of the deck. 4, 5, 6, 7. So his deck is down to 11 cards already. Pretty crazy. I think we will play Gauntlet Gun here. Or not Gauntlet Gun, Shoulder Cannon. And we will exhaust a character to remove sand counters from here, equal to how much was there. So we're going to pop that down to 5, which should feel pretty good. With Shoulder Cannon, we can deal 1 damage to an enemy. You may remove ammo counters here to do so. We're going to wait on that until next turn, because we can spend that in the future, and we don't have to do it right now. Drawn 5 cards. We've got a Repulsor Blast, a Full Auto, an Energy, a Nick Fury, and an Iron Man. 1 threat going on the main. Sandman is going to attack us for 2, 3, 4. It's all going to go into the tough token. We get 1 encounter card, which is Volunteer Work. Alter Ego. You cannot remove threat from this scheme. That's great. You cannot thwart this scheme, so we can remove threat from it. Spend 2 resources of any type. Remove threat from this scheme equal to your Alter Ego's recovery. If your identity has the civilian trait, draw 1 card. Well, we probably do not have the civilian trait because we are a soldier. Yeah. Bummer. But that's okay. It's not too bad. Not too bad. Not too bad. Sandman's only got 3 health left, which feels pretty dang good. Let's go ahead and pay 1, 2, 3 for an Iron Man. And he's going to let us go find a tech upgrade. And we're going to search our discard pile for, I forgot to shuffle something in last time, for a Gauntlet Gun. And we'll use our other 2 War Machine events to play that Gauntlet Gun. So we've at least got 2 of those in play. We can use Shoulder Cannon to hit Sandman for 2. And we'll use Iron Man and War Machine to remove 3 threat from the main scheme. And we're going to flip down and shuffle Munitions Bunker back into our deck, I think. Or did I already do that? I think I already did that. So we'll shuffle in... We'll shuffle in a Full Auto. That's not going to hurt. There's 16 cards left in our deck. Sandman is at 1 health. We've got all the things out here. And we are at 0 ammo. So we're drawing 6 cards. We've got Power Protection, Ever Vigilant, Power Protection, Multiple Man, Assess the Situation, and Full Auto. So 2 threat going to the main scheme. He's going to scheme for 1 plus 0. And our encounter card is Resolve the Surging Sands ability and then resolve it again. Oh, this is bad. So it's going to go to 6 and discard 6 cards from the top of the deck. Then it's going to go to 7. That will fully deplete the encounter deck. So we are going to place an acceleration token on the main scheme, and that is going to deal 3 indirect damage to the first player, which is us. We'll take all 3 of that on War Machine. That doesn't bother me too much. It's our first damage of the game. We're not doing too bad. All right, let's go ahead and recover 3. Let's go ahead and shuffle another full auto back into our deck, I think. We're going to flip. Should we get rid of this side scheme? Spend 2 resources any type. Remove threat from this side scheme. We don't need to. We'll just flip up. And we're going to get a tough card from that, which is great. We have 5 ammo counters. We're going to go to 4 right away and use our shoulder cannon and ready it. For 1, that is going to push Sandman to the next phase. So we're going to resolve the Surging Sand's ability. Great. That's 8 sand counters, so always good. Putting 8 cards right into the discard pile right after we shuffled the deck. Always feels great. Sandman jumps up to 18 health in Form 2, so that's quite a bit of health for a Stage 1 villain in these campaign boxes. That's pretty nice. And same ability, but now he has 3 attack that our tough counter is going to have to absorb. Brutal. All right, well, multiple man, all our multiple men are in our discard pile, I believe, so we don't want to play multiple man right now. We'll definitely use him as a resource, but first thing first, we'll use Ever Vigilant. That's going to let us ready and remove 2 threat from the main scheme, because we have the aerial trait. That lets us punch for 2 again. I don't feel, actually, we'll, should we work on the sand stuff? Do I care about working on the sand stuff? Let's wait a minute. We just readied for now. We won't remove the 2 yet. We've got full auto in hand, so we will use our 2 gauntlet guns and only have to spend 2 ammo counters on it, but that's going to hit Sandman for 8 to the face. We've got Iron Man here, who could also punch for 2, but I think we'll probably use him to thwart for 2. Oh no, we do get the 2 from Ever Vigilant, because that's from Ever Vigilant, not from our base stats. So Iron Man will punch for 2. I don't feel too bad about that. We've got a really awkward hand here with multiple manpower protection and assess the situation. So it looks like we should have gotten rid of that side scheme, but we didn't. That's okay. We can punch for 2. We're going to discard these 2 cards and assess the situation. So we draw up to 6. And we are going to keep our counters in case we draw into a full auto. And we don't. Bummer. Okay. We have got 2 threat going on the main. He's going to swing at us for 3 plus something, but we don't even care because we have a tough token. And then he swings at us. The villain schemes with an advance. Oh boy. For 1, 2, putting it to 5. And actually there's an acceleration token, so that is going to put it to 6 of 9. Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. I think I missed one from Volunteer Works. I think we're going to put it to 7, just so I don't have to feel too bad about having missed a scheme. But it's our go. He's got 6 health left. And I think we've got enough to just go wild here. So we can pay 2 for Ironheart, who will draw us a card. It's a Repulsor Beam. Yeah, let's go for it. We'll Gauntlet Gun that Repulsor Beam into his face for 4. War Machine can hit him for 2. We've got all sorts of things left in our hand, but bingo bango. Standard Sandman taken down. It is standard Sandman, so don't get too excited about this deck, but it's a pretty fun deck. I really like especially how many tough counters you can get. I think we flipped 4 times, or we took 4 tough counters in that game. It may have only been 3, but we soaked a lot of damage without even having to worry about defending. And that was even against a person who does indirect damage. So that was actually maybe more or less convenient for us, depending on how we would have done that without the tough counters. But pretty fun game. So this is War Machine Protection. I think it's really hard to build War Machine Protection. And I think as more things like Jump Flip become available in Sinister Motives, it's going to be a little bit more reasonable to run War Machine Protection once you can get some more thwarty cards in the green aspect. But for now, Ever Vigilant works really, really well, especially against Sandman in Sinister Motives. So there you go. That is the deck tech for this month. I am all about War Machine protection right now, and I am all about trying out these new villains from Sinister Motives. So expect more videos like that in the near future. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great day.